Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'd like to thank you on behalf of Spenard Builder Supply. This is our last Bon Appetit series for this year on here. But stay tuned in September. Just look for the emails again. We'll be starting up again on there. For the season, you got it. I got corrected the last time too. On there. But we have Susie Linford from Alaska Coastal Catering. That's going to be talking story with us today about how to prepare some nice dishes here. You know, you can do your own catering when you get your parties.
Oh, no, I was not saying that. I'm just saying me out of business here.
But cell phones, please, if you can turn them off, because it does affect our camera and sound on there. And also, Larry had put it on YouTube. Larry, could you tell them how you can find it on YouTube on there?
You just need to go to www.youtube.com and insert in the search string Spenard Builder Supply Bon Appetit. They should all pop up.
On there. And then he said that the
recipes are at the very conclusion of the video, so it should be all there for you.
So, thank you very much for coming. I know I see some new faces and some old faces, and I'm just going to turn it over to Susie.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, SBS. Hi, I'm Susie Linford, and this is my worthy assistant, Quincy. Quincy is one of our neighbor kids I'm teaching to cook. She's also the top junior golfer in Alaska. She needs a boyfriend. I'm just kidding. Quincy gets me out of trouble a lot. Anyways, yeah, we're going to talk about, I'm a caterer, I'm not a restaurant person, so we do things a little differently. We have to get the wow factor, and apparently you've all gotten the wow factor because everybody's trying to stick their fingers into things here. You guys are welcome to try these things. I'm going to talk about them first, then you guys can go for it. We have two door prizes today. One is a apple blueberry pie that's on top here, and that just came out of the oven about an hour ago. And then we have dark chocolate cognac truffles with a crushed crystallized rose coating on it. And it smells like roses. It's really good. If you do end up winning the truffles, I will warn you, do not give them to any kids. They will be definitely bouncing off the walls. Don't call me. And only eat one a day. It's like legal crack. You just
Where's the recipe for that?
Those guys, you can wrap those up and they will stay in the freezer for up to a year if you wrap them really tight. Air is not your friend, so you really want to wrap it tight with plastic. I'm going to have Quincy walk around and pass out. These are Parmesan cookies, Parmesan cheese cookies, and I'm going to steal a couple of them because I'm going to need them here. Anyways, this is something that's really easy, and I'm going to talk about things that, go ahead. I'm going to talk about things that I have in my house all the time. We live down in South Anchorage, and we always have people popping in, and I'm sure you guys do too. And there's things that we always keep in the house that somebody pops in that we can kick out an appetizer within 10 minutes. So this Parmesan cookie, all this is, let me get my little box here, and I'm going to bake a couple of these for you while we're here. Costco, Sam's Club, wherever, it's the shredded Parmesan cheese, and it's not the Kraft stuff. Don't do the Kraft stuff. Hey, Peggy. Peggy and I were at Double Muskie last night, so that's why I'm a little slow. Anyways, you just take these. The best thing to do is use a Silly Pat, there it is. This is a small one, but use just a plain cookie sheet with a Silly Pat liner. And Silly Pat is the flexible little plastic rubbery liner. Put that on there. You can get this at most kitchen stores. Fred Meyer's carries these also. Costco was carrying them. And all you do is that you just take this and you do a pinch. Can you guys see me okay? You do a pinch about that much. And you do 6 of them on a regular cookie sheet. 400-degree oven till about 10 minutes. They come out a little brown. Pull them out, and you need to get them off the pad as soon as you can. And when you get them off the pad, they're kind of rubbery, so you can play with them. You can make them into a cone. and stuff them with different things. You can stuff them with cream cheese. You can put some veggies in them. They're really versatile. Versatile. Yeah, it's been a long day. Anyways, they're also good with ranch dressing. So this is why I keep this in our refrigerator, so that if we have somebody show up, you know, just do a batch of these. Takes about 10 minutes to do a couple dozen, and then you have ranch dressing that you can dip them in. So it works out really well. Does anybody have any questions?
Could you use parchment paper if you don't have that? Or is
It usually sticks to parchment. Yeah, I've
okay.
tried just about everything.
All right.
And the key is if you do use parchment paper, or you just use just the plain ungreased cookie sheet, you don't want it greased, but the ungreased cookie sheet, you got to get it off there right away because it just grabs it and sticks on there. Okay, so any questions about those?
Neat idea.
They're good.
Thank you. Yeah, they're really tasty, and they're kind of lacy. They're just fun, and I sprinkle a little paprika on top just to give it a little color. You can put some chives on it as well, things like that.
How long can you store them?
Probably about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, just wrap them in plastic. We're going to talk about plastic wrap. Plastic is our friend. Not ecologically friendly, but hey, we're in the food business. We like plastic.
So what do you put them on when you say get them off the sill pad as fast as possible?
You can put them on a plate, something that's cool, but you need to get them off. You can put them on just a regular plate, and they shouldn't stick to that. They're like cookies, regular dough cookies. If you let them sit on the pan too long, you're never going to get them off. So you just need to get under there. And when you're scraping off, if you don't already know this, when you're scraping off the pan, you usually go this way with your spatula. Turn your spatula upside down and kind of give it a little underneath, a little scraping action underneath it, and pull it up, and it should come up that way.
Excuse me, do you think you could move the lemons?
Sure. Quincy. Need you for a sec.
Thanks.
No problem. I'm not tall enough, sorry. Okay, somebody was talking about coconut oil while I was setting up. So let me tell you about coconut oil. We love it. And there is a cookie that we do, and if you get on our webpage, our business cards, I need you to move the lemons.
Oh, okay.
Let's put it on the end down here. Yeah, don't put your feet out, whatever you do when she walks by. Anyways, we use coconut oil a lot instead of Crisco when we're making cookies, so you get that nice coconut flavor. But we found playing with it, we do a gluten-free cookie with the almond flour from Costco. I mean, who doesn't go to Costco? And normally our cookie recipe calls for 3 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of Crisco. When we're using the coconut oil and the flour, we cut the coconut oil down to 1 cup instead of 1.5 cups. And the almond flour, we increase that a cup. And then it comes out pretty good. And you get a coconut almond floured type of cookie. It's gluten-free, and it's really good. The trick with almond flour that we found, trust me, we've played with just about everything, but almond flour, if you have it cookie dough, do not freeze it. It comes back out as this gray, gooey glob. It's really horrible. But you do need to refrigerate it and get it firm enough, and then that way you can use it, usually about a couple hours so it's nice and chilled, and you can use it as putting it in balls and then pushing it down on your cookie sheet. And it comes out really well. If you take one of our cards, we've got postcards up here and business cards on both ends. I'll post something this weekend about things that I'm talking about, and I'll put that on our webpage, and it'll say the SBS series, and then you can see it under that page.
But the corporate scares me, you know.
The what?
The corporate,
All corporate?
that scares me. I don't have any companies. So, I mean, corporate, you say corporate.
Corporate.
Don't you?
I'm not following the coastal. It's Alaska Coastal Catering.
Read something wrong.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow
Okay,
you.
okay.
Yeah, sorry, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry for you.
Anyways, we do have some more Parmesan cookies if anybody else wants one. This is an anapasto platter. This took me about 20 minutes to put together this morning. A lot of this I have done ahead of time, and I keep it in my fridge because then again, there's a few people here that live by me, and you know, people are always popping into our house. We're food pushers over there, so you know,
What's your
whatever.
address?
I'm not telling. One of the undercover things. I'm going to talk to you about how to do those pepper flowers. It's really easy. And I always have marinated asparagus, marinated baby bella mushrooms. I get those at Costco. I just blanch the asparagus with some hot water. Put hot water in the bottom of the pan, about 1 inch of it. Put your asparagus in a basket. Let the water boil for about 2 minutes. Turn it off. Your asparagus is a really nice, deep, bright green. Put it in a Ziploc. And I always use olive oil, avocado oil, Costco, 10 bucks a bottle. This stuff's great. It doesn't have a real strong avocado flavor to it. This goes up to 500 degrees on frying versus olive oil. I used to be a real convert on olive oil, and I've converted to this stuff. And I also love sesame oil. This has got a nice taste to it too. We'll talk about that in just a second. But my marinade for the mushrooms and the asparagus is balsamic fig cream that I get in oil and vinegar store rather in the Fifth Avenue Mall. It's not cheap, but boy, that stuff is so good. It's real thick. So I mix that together with my avocado oil, throw it in a Ziploc, shake my mushrooms in one Ziploc, my asparagus in another, put it in the fridge. Every few hours, if you think about it, go in, turn it around and stuff. And that'll keep for about a week. It's pretty good stuff. Anyways, you guys are welcome to attack that if you want to. These are gluten-free crackers. These are rice crackers.
What did you say, balsamic what?
It's called a fig cream balsamic vinegar, and it's from the oil and vinegar store on the Fifth Avenue Mall. I think it's up on the second floor. It's over by Sullivan's. It's above Sullivan's. Morning, Margaret. Good morning. This is our birthday girl. another person from the fun trip last night. Anyways, if you have not been to the oil and vinegar store on the Fifth Avenue Mall, I suggest you go. It's wonderful. They do have samples. Their vinegars and their oils are wonderful, but we really have fallen in love with that fig cream. It's really thick, and it's not real biting. But anyways, you guys are welcome to try that. This is something that we do a lot of, and I got a little crazy with this one. These are smoked salmon deviled eggs. In honor of Easter, I dyed my eggs. So they were peeled, and I'm going to tell you how to make the perfect peeled egg. But these guys, I soaked them in food coloring for about 24 hours, the whole egg that's peeled. And they're green, orange, red, and yellow. And then you slice them in half, take the yolks out, mix it with a little honey mustard, smoked salmon in the food processor, and then just plate them up. I'll tell you again how to do those flowers in the center there. But we do buy our eggs because we blast through so many hard-boiled eggs. We buy them pre-cooked, pre-peeled. If you do need to buy some for a party, we get ours from FSA, which you do have to be a professional and have an account there. I believe you can buy them, and this is not a plug from my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law owns Linford of Alaska Wholesale Foods, and I believe you can buy them there, and they're open to the public. You can also buy them at Carr's and Fred Meyer's. Check the date on those eggs when you buy them if they're pre-peeled, because once the peel comes off, the clock's ticking on them. Okay, when you do eggs, this will be on the website. When you do eggs, you put your eggs into a pan, cover it with water about an inch above the eggs. Any eggs that immediately float to the top, they're bad. They're full of gas. They're going to come up to the top. Dump those eggs. Get your eggs in there. Boil them. Once they come to a boil, turn off your water. Cover it 25 minutes. Take them off after 25 minutes. Soak them, run them under cold water, and then you should be able to peel them. The key to peeling eggs, the older the egg, the easier the shell comes off. If they're really fresh eggs, those shells are you're gonna look like you got moon rocks. Okay, so that's the trick on peeling eggs, and again, I'll have that on the website for you folks. Okay, any questions on it? Yes, Peggy.
Do you start with cold water?
Cold water.
Boil them?
Yeah, if you put them into hot water and they're coming out of the fridge, they're gonna crack on you right away. Yeah, so you're gonna start them cold water. You're gonna have your water about an inch above. And like I said, as soon as they boil, turn it off, put the lid on, a tight-fitting lid on it, and for 25 minutes, put your timer on, and after 25 minutes, pull them and put them under ice water on the sink. That's going to be a trick. Yeah. Tell you what, we're going to put the antipasto platter down here on the end. If you guys want to hit it, you can come down to this way and grab it, okay? And do we have any?
We'll pass it out to them.
That's going to be really hard to pass out.
There.
That's
We'll
what we
figure
were
out.
just trying to figure out.
Yeah, maybe we'll wait to the end of the thing. Yeah, you guys can hit at the end of it then. Yeah, so sorry, gotta wait just a few minutes. Anyways, okay, the pepper flowers, let me show you how those are done. That's why you're pointing at that. I'm really tired. Okay, the pepper flowers, we do the large ones and we do the small ones. These are the small ones, these are the large ones. Those are just bell peppers. The large ones look really good. This is a large green one. Looks really good if you put black olives in the center of it, then it really does look like a flower. Okay. All you're doing with these, and there's a short one, is you're taking the baby bells, and this is, thank you, my dear. This is one of my favorite knives. This is called people call it a bird beak knife or a parrot knife. It's got a curved head on it. That thing is like a razor, so you really want to be careful, and there's a reason why it comes with a cover. You can get this at most kitchen supply stores. Okay, what I'm doing, can anybody see me do this, or? Okay. Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna take your stem.
Could you do it on top of the container? We could see.
Oh, sure.
Because it's very small.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So you're gonna take your stem. You hold on to your stem. Can you guys see? Okay. And you're gonna cut your knife all the way through, and I'm right about a finger from the end. Cut my knife all the way through, and this is one of the reasons you wear your glasses, so you can see what the heck you're doing. And then you just go around, and it's about 1/8 of an inch is how wide the strips are. And you just go all the way around the pepper, and just cut it, keep going all the way through it until you go all the way around. And then what I'm gonna do is put this in ice water. And these guys that I have up here today, these have been sitting in ice water for about 48 hours. Usually 12 hours they start opening up. The longer they sit, the more they open. And there you go. So yeah, usually try to get them about 24 hours if you can. I like it when I go to Carr's or Freddy's and they have the really big single peppers, and every once in a while they have ones really huge. It really is cool to use that and put it on the top of soups. And we also put it on top of guacamole, things like that. And it just looks like this giant, twisty, little House of Horrors plant coming out.
Susie, on this one here, what are the seeds? The one here that you have out here.
Those are the seeds that are with the pepper.
They are inside?
Yeah, they're inside the pepper.
Okay, okay, so when it opens, then you can see it. Okay.
Okay. Any questions about how to do that?
Did you say 48 hours?
Well, these have been sitting in the ice water in the refrigerator for about 48 hours. Usually 12 hours they start really opening. The longer they sit, the better they are. I've had them sit in the refrigerator for up to a week. Then they start getting a little...
Water, yeah, the water.
Yeah, you just got to keep them in water. And this guy, this is one of those snap totes. I love these things. I always fill this up with ice water, and when I'm cutting the peppers, I'm just throwing them into the thing. Snap this down, my little handle, and throw it in the fridge. And if I need to open it, have it open really, really fast, I'll usually put a layer of ice on top. So put some ice cubes on top and then water underneath, and the peppers are soaking in the water. Any
Do they
questions?
have to stay in the fridge?
Yeah.
If you know, okay.
If you don't stay in the fridge, they're going to go bad on you. This is fresh produce. So like I said, we don't do anything hard. A lot of stuff we do that you can make ahead of time because we're catering up to 500 people. So we got to get going and get things going and all that kind of good stuff. Some of the things that we do in catering, and I'll finish going through this stuff here in a minute, is we use a lot of different plates. And these guys are appetizer plates, and this is always our test done. We do a lot of catering for doctors. They're usually standing around with their wine glass and their thumb like this. So what do you think that hole's for? I forgot to bring a wine glass, but that's where your wine glass goes on the hole. And it's nice because about 90% of our caterings are just heavy appetizers. So you can eat it with your fingers or with a fork or spoon. There's no cutting. So people can walk around, hold one of these, and they have their wine glass right there.
Very nice.
And then we also use a lot, unfortunately I cleaned Pure Women out from every state in the US. They're no longer carrying these guys, so sorry guys. But Walmart carried, or at least they were carrying a version that was plastic, clear plastic, that's the wine plate thing on it. Might want to check that out. We also use just plain white dishes. This is our appetizer, salad, dessert plate, multi-use plate. And we also use this type, and I'm going to show you how we decorate that so it looks like it came from a restaurant. And then today what we're going to do too is I have some disposable plates. These guys, I think there was 10 to a pack, and these are plastic, but they look really nice, and it's good if you want to do cookies for somebody or take something over to somebody. We're going to plate up a really nice shrimp dinner for you on this. So one of you guys gets to take that home with you today. Along with one of our 2 donor prizes.
So what we have just the prize, everybody have their name in the bucket back here? Shall we draw for one? Sure.
Yeah, everybody get your name on there. Okay, another thing that we use a lot is the white porcelain spoons, and these are from Crate and Barrel. These are more squared off. You can get the traditional Asian spoons that are a little bit more round at Pier 1. We use these for a lot. We'll put a meatball in there with a little piece of parsley, a little squirt of barbecue sauce on top, and a fork on the back of it, and it's meatball shooters. We'll use them for chocolate truffles. We'll put a truffle on there. And people, you know, one of the problems we have with these, we put these out in buffets, and if you've ever been to our website, and it's all on our postcard too, these are usually lining our buffet. One of the problems we found is people stand there with a fork and go down the line and eat them all. It's like, oh. So, but anyways, live and learn. We also we call these shooter glasses. This one's square, and we also get the round ones. These are glass voltages that you put candles in. They're $1 each at Pier 1. You can get them at probably Walmart, wherever. The key you need to remember is when you're washing these things, they really do not do too well in the dishwasher. Either do these guys. As a caterer and anybody in a restaurant and at home too, if it chips, toss it. These are $1 each. Toss it. It's not worth somebody getting cut on a thing. Okay, but we use these a lot on doing different things like a guacamole. We'll put that in there so it's an individual guacamole people can walk around with. And I'll have a celery stick in there that they can use to scoop the guacamole out with and put it on their chips and things. Okay, some of our other favorite things that we use is use a lot of dried chives just for decorations on the plates. One thing I've found, and I'm probably as guilty as everybody else, I have a cupboard full of spices that are probably older than Quincy here. so lately I've been writing the date on it, the year, and that way I can go back and I know after a year it's out of here. But these are dried chives. You can get this size Costco or Sam's Club. And I go through a lot of paprika. Also the black sesame seeds. I get this at the Asian market over on Northern Lights, and I also get my sesame oil, which is it's got a really nice nut flavor. This is really good for cooking like chicken skewers, things like that. You can roast it in this type of deal, and it gives it a nice flavor, nice nutty flavor. I also use my sesame oil when I'm making rice. Now when we do rice, and we've got a dinner that we have to plate up, and I didn't bring any with me today, but I'll do rice in my rice steamer, the sticky rice. I'll put the black sesames in the bottom of a muffin tin, 12-cup muffin tin. Put your black sesame seeds in the bottom. Pack your rice on top and fill up those cups. Push it down as hard as you can. Wrap the whole container, the cupcake pan, with plastic. Put it in your fridge. When you get ready to plate up, you just flip it over on the counter, smack it, and you have perfect little round balls of rice that you can put on your plate. This is a new thing that the guys over at FSA just gave me yesterday, and this is really fun. I've been having a good time with it. We put it on their truffles. This is real live roses that are crystallized, dried and crystallized, and it smells just like roses. And it's roses with a little bit of sugar. This is from San Diego, where I'm from. So it's really fun to play with. They told me you can also put this in the food processor, get it down to a powdery type of texture, and use it for your drinks, your cocktails. Turn your glass upside down, dip it in water, and then have this on a plate, and then dip this, and then you've got the really pretty pinky purple color on the rim of your cocktail glass. So that thing's really fun. You guys can come up and play with all this stuff as soon as we get done here.
Where do you find the rose stuff? Where do you buy it?
I get it at FSA. I can ask them, and I'll put it on the website. I'm not sure if this is the general public. You can find anything on the internet anymore, so I'm sure. This one is from San Marcos, California, which is northern San Diego. And the little, yeah, it's called Fresh Origins is the brand name. But yeah, I'll get you guys some information on that. Also, almond oil. We use a lot of almond oil. When you're making cookies, anything that you're baking with, and it calls for vanilla, vanilla is just a flavoring. It's not really an ingredient. It doesn't matter if you put it in there or not. We found at one point the price of real vanilla had gone through the roof. This is a few years back, and it was like 20 bucks for a little bottle of it. But for the same 20 bucks, I can get a 1.5 liter bottle of Carol Ann's Irish cream liquor. It works really good in cookies. Okay. So we use that a lot. We use almond oil instead of vanilla a lot, or else we'll mix vanilla and almond oil when we do our oatmeal cookies. So, and when we do oatmeal cookies, instead of raisins, we put in cinnamon chips. They're like chocolate chips. Walmart carries them right now. And there's a really good recipe on the back of the package, and I think it's Hershey's. They're in a kind of a dark orange package.
Cinnamon?
Cinnamon chips. Yes, it's oatmeal cinnamon chip cookies, and I use a little dab of a little dab of almond oil in those. Okay, am I losing anybody? You guys hanging in there with me? Okay.
You got some questions back
Didn't see you. Sorry.
Going back to your rice, where you said you put it in your muffin tins, and then you put it in the refrigerator, and then take it out.
Right.
If you wanted, your rice would be cold, correct?
It'll be cold. You can put it in the microwave and heat it back up again if you
Okay,
need
I
to.
was going to ask you, could you
Right.
put it in the oven like that, or would it dry out?
Probably dry out more in an oven.
Okay.
Yeah, I would put it in the microwave 30 seconds at a time and just kind of see. You want it to hold the shape when you're plating up. You don't want it to
Right.
go out on you. I usually use the Japanese, the white sticky rice. It's the sushi grade rice, and it really holds together. The trick with rice is when you're making it, don't lift the lid. The lid's got to stay on there, and anytime you lift that lid to check it and stir it, you just ruined it. It's not going to come up right. You're going to have crunchy rice. A little rice maker is great. You can get the small ones if it's just for your home, or you can get the 20-cup ones if you're really a party animal. And those things work great, and it's pretty much foolproof.
Did you say you put oil in your rice?
I put a little bit of sesame oil in it with
In
my
the
water.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just gives it a nice nutty flavor to it. But the black sesame seeds, I have those on the bottom of the muffin tins. That way when I flip it over and I smack it, it's got the black sesame seeds on top. So it makes a nice presentation on that. We are big on squirt bottles. Squirt bottles are your friend in catering. So this is how most chefs plate up, and there's a funny story. My daughter-in-law used to work for another catering company that begins with the initial M, and they were doing the typical catering thing of everybody hurry up, hurry, 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 you gotta load up the cars, we gotta go. And they had a blueberry sauce to go with their cheesecake. So they grabbed the squirt bottle of blueberry sauce, and they went out, and for dessert, they put it down, the swirl pattern, and they put the cheesecake on it. It was Dawn dishwashing soap. So, you really want to label your squirt bottles. People ate it too, and they said, wow, this has got a really nice bite to it.
They got very clean.
Yeah, they got very clean teeth.
Okay, so what do you want to do here? Giveaway.
Why don't we give away the truffles?
The truffles, okay.
Yeah.
And they're for me, okay?
Well, unless your name is Dennis. Dennis Hawkinson?
Dennis, cool, okay. Dennis, you can take that and the plate and the little flower thing. So happy Easter, that is yours. We'll wrap it up for you before you leave. Okay, congratulations. They want you to share a bit. The truffles? Right now I don't, but I can put it up there. Okay, so some of the other things that we use a lot of, if you've been on our website or if you look at the back of our postcard, we take a whole watermelon and we do about 3 green grapes on a 6-inch wood skewer. We get these at True Value Hardware. They're 6 inches long. Otherwise, we get the full-size skewers cost at Cars or Fred Meyer's. My husband about kills me because he has to go cut them on the bandsaw whenever I do this because I only need 6 inches. We take a whole watermelon and we put 3 green grapes on there. We cover the entire watermelon with the green grapes, and we poke holes in the watermelon with an ice pick. And you do your pattern about 1 inch between the holes, and you get that all covered. And then we take strawberries. We cut the green part off the strawberry, flip that over, and that goes on the end of these sticks. And so your watermelon now is they get up to about 36 inches in diameter when we do them. And all they see is just this big explosion of strawberries. We use a lot of strawberries. So there's a picture of that on the postcard thing there for you. So that is really easy. A lot of the things that we come up with is just brainstorming with our people. We have a staff of 25, and we encourage our folks to come up with different ideas. We cater up to 500 people. That's why we have so many people. But yeah, some things are hit and miss. Some things work great. We did a thing the other day. I was playing around. I did a pot roast at home. And I took a giant martini glass and I pureed my carrots that were cooked. So they're in the bottom of the martini glass on the curve there. The next layer was the potatoes, and then the top layer was celery. Then we put sticks of the pot roast sticking out of it with some bay leaves and then one of the pepper flowers. It was gorgeous. The problem is you can't eat it because you can't get that meat out of there unless you're doing this. So I thought, yeah, that didn't work. So, live and learn. So anyways, some of the other things that we do, I just found this guy at Fred Meyer's and I love it. This is a 5-way tool. It's a spatula, it's a cutter, cutter on that side, it's a strainer, it's a spoon, and it's a another spatula. Yeah, this is like a scraper spatula, and this one's kind of a jar spatula. Yeah, it's a 5-way tool, and I love this thing. I've been using it a lot lately. We also use a lot of the rubber, the Silly Pat brush for brushing like the pie. This has got a crust of leaves on it, and it's a little shiny because we took a broken egg and put a little egg whites rather with a little bit of heavy cream, mix that up, and then brushed it over the top of the pie, and it gives that pie that really nice shiny thing. So these guys are great, and these guys go in the dishwasher. It's a really good thing. Okay. We use a lot, when we're using these kind of appetizer plates, we use the appetizer forks. You can buy these at Fred Meyer's, and you can also get these at Bed Bath & Beyond. We have the forks, the spoons, and the knives, and they're great for using it, for that kind of thing. I think these are like $1.50 each or something like that. They're pretty inexpensive. Parchment is wonderful. We buy parchment in about 2,000 sheet pan. Yeah, it's pack rather. We buy a lot of parchment. This is called a full-size sheet pan, which is about double the size of a regular cookie sheet. So if everybody can see that. When we're using a regular cookie sheet, we just fold it in half and then use it that way. We can use that for cookies. We use this a lot when we're doing chicken skewers, you know, whatever. But parchment's really good. We also use it on the countertop when we're working with different things, so we can just pick it up. As my husband will tell you, we do not put vegetable peels down the garbage disposal anymore. I didn't know some cuss words, and he knows. Anyways, yeah, we do a lot with strawberries, and I'm going to show you how to do this.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Regarding using the bottles on the plates, do you have any words of wisdoms on designs?
Yeah, I'm going to go through those in a second.
Are?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to plate up some really good shrimp. And I'm telling you guys all my secrets. If you go to Costco, I was there yesterday and it was a complete zoo, but what else is new? They have shrimp. It's the biggest shrimp I've ever seen. They're U8s, which means there's 8 shrimp to pound. These things are like a horse. And we have a bunch of them in the fridge. We're going to plate those up, and one of you guys are going to win that. And we have purple potatoes that goes with it. So we use a lot of strawberries, and normally this is washed and everything. But I'm just going to show you how we do this. When we do a strawberry, yeah, the ER people are getting really tired of seeing me. So you just go down, leave your stem on there. Can everybody see me? Leave your stem on there. Again with my little beak knife, and I just slice down. And I'm doing this about a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch. And just keep going down. And if you mess it up, doggone it, you got to eat the strawberry. You know, that happens. But okay, so I just sliced it all the way down like that, and then you just fan it out. And then that goes on your plate when you're doing desserts and things. We always keep strawberries in our fridge because also if you got those pesky little neighbors that pop over unannounced, you can take strawberries, and I always wash them and give them a good rinse before I put them in my fridge, and that way they're dried off. They're sitting on a paper towel, they're dried off. Strawberries will last, depends when you buy them, up to a week, usually less. But when you have them, you can also use them as a quick dessert. You just melt some chocolate. The key to melting chocolate, and again, I'll put this on our website, is for every cup of chocolate that you use, you put 1 tablespoon of oil, like an avocado oil or olive oil in it. And that keeps your chocolate nice and shiny. You put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, pull it out, give it a little stir with a fork. Put it back in for another 30 seconds. You might still see chocolate chips in there, but the bowl's hot. That's all you usually need is just 2 zaps with 30 seconds. Stir it, with the bowl being hot, it'll melt the rest of the chocolate and it'll come out really nice and smooth. Just dip your strawberries in it, and again, that's another reason why we use the parchment paper. Dip our strawberry.
Spoon or tablespoon?
Tablespoon of oil. We dip our strawberries in it, give them a little shake, and then put them down the parchment paper. The parchment paper feels like regular paper, but it's got a little wax to it, so your strawberries will pull off. The key is you need to get that parchment paper on a cookie sheet or a plate, because once you dip them, you're going to want to put them in the fridge, and you can't pick that piece of paper up too well and get it in the, trust me, I tried it, it doesn't work. You can't get it in the refrigerator too well. So you need something solid underneath it. So get it on a cookie sheet, get it in the refrigerator, don't put wrap on it, and just let it chill out a little bit, and then instant dessert. Now if you really want to be tricky, what you can do when you dip your chocolate strawberries and you've got them dipped in like a dark chocolate, melt some white chocolate. White chocolate's going to come up a little faster than dark chocolate. It's going to melt faster. It's got a higher cocoa butter content to it. And you need to change? Okay. So with your white chocolate, take a fork, a regular dinner fork, put it in there, give it a little stir, and this is really a mess, but the dog loves it. You have your cookie sheet and you just do this, and that's how you get those white swirly things on chocolate. And you just take a fork, a regular dinner fork, and just do this. Yeah, you should see my kitchen. It's pretty bad. So, anyways, any questions on that? Okay. What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh yeah, so we're going to show you how to, once you pull the pans out of there and put that on broil. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show you how to make pepper sauce. Okay, pepper sauce is really easy. This is a red bell pepper sauce, and this one is a yellow bell pepper sauce. And what you're going to do on your peppers, Quincy, would you get that a quick wash for me? Thanks. Is going to take your peppers. You can do this with, pretty much you should do this with the big peppers, not the small ones. Otherwise, you're going to be doing this all day. When you roast a pepper, when they come out, your orange and your yellow are pretty much the same color. So pick one or the other or both, whatever. Your red does come out a different color. That's a nice, really pretty red. And this one is yellow bell pepper. This also has orange bell peppers in it, but like I said, it came out about the same color. So what I'm going to do when I roast a pepper is, thanks, Carol. So I take a bell pepper and I'm going to cut it in half all the way around. And I'm going to cut through that stem. Oops. And I'm going to pull it open, okay, like that. And then just put your thumb in there, pull it out, the stem comes out, pull out as much of the membrane as you can without going through the pepper wall. And you can rinse that out for me. She's going to rinse that out. We're going to get rid of the seeds. I do not want the seeds in this thing. It's going to clog up my little squirt bottles if I have seeds. Normally when I'm cooking, I've got Steely Dan blaring off on the radio. Gotta have Steely. So, you're gonna take a grill pan and put your peppers down, face down, so if everybody can see that. Okay. And Quincy, would you put that in the oven for me? So what we're going to do is you're going to roast them until the skin starts to turn black, and that means that I can peel that outer layer. It's kind of a plastic coating type of skin. I can peel that skin off, and then when I do that, I can take the rest of the pepper, put it in my food processor, liquefy it, put it in my squirt bottle. I'm ready to go.
And what temperature?
It's on broil on 500 degrees. Yeah, you got to have it on broil.
And how long does that last in the fridge?
These bottles here have been about a week. This is Deanne. Deanne helps us every once in a while too. She gets recruited. So I'm gonna leave that there. So we're gonna plate up for you something that's really cool. just broil them. Yeah, if you put oil on it, you're probably gonna get a fire. So just
No, when you're
puree them.
pureeing it, yeah.
No, I just leave them plain. Yeah, you can add oil if you'd like, but I just leave them plain. There's enough water in them because the pepper itself is. I forget what the ratio is, but it's pretty high ratio on water on peppers, so it'll puree pretty easy with a food processor. Okay, these guys, if you can see them, these are purple potatoes. Costco. Got these yesterday. If you go to Costco, they have the bag with the small potatoes in their produce aisle, and they have all these different colors in it. I just picked out the purple ones, boiled them, put them in the food processor, mashed them, put them into my wonderful little pastry bag, and I made rosettes. Ta-da! So there's a potato rosette, and I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. That guy there.
Where did you get the plastic triangle
plates?
plates?
I got those at Party Craft. Yeah, they have them in different styles. It's called Mosaic brand. And they have them in different styles and stuff. And they're really kind of cool. Because a lot of times we'll do stuff and people are taking forever on their party and we don't want to stick around. So that way we can put things on that and it still looks nice and we're out of there. Okay, pastry bags. Whenever you have a pastry bag, I highly recommend you get the 18-inch. 18-inch is the length of the bag. The reason being is when you have a pastry bag, this one's preloaded. When you're going to load it, you have it down. You can put that into a cup if you want or however you want to do it. But you fold your bag edges down. And then you start taking your tablespoon and putting the product inside of it. Pull it back up. And while I'm standing over, thank you. You guys did not eat your cheese. Or the prosciutto. Anyways, you're going to take it, you're going to push down, because the goal is we're trying to get the air out of it as much as you can. And then to do pastry bag thing, you're going to put a coupler in here. And inside the bag, I should have brought you a clean bag to show you. You can get these at Joann's, Michael's, Party Craft, or whatever. These are from Wilton. The coupler part, this part goes inside the bag. My tip, which is the metal part, goes on the outside of the bag. It looks like it's not going to fit, but it will. The tip goes on the outside, and then this screws over. So this screws right onto the bag itself. The reason you use the coupler is it keeps that tip on there. A lot of people do not use the coupler, and that tip will go flying unless you've got a death grip on it. This way I don't have to hang on to it that hard. Okay, so I'm going to get the air out, and a little trick is when I'm standing over the bowl, when I pulled this out of, is just kind of squirt it back out. This is really cold. Squirt it back out, get the air out, and make sure it's coming out in the pattern that you want. The tips really don't matter. I found, for my preference, I like the tip a little bit more open instead of really tight, and that way it gets the product out faster for me. Okay, so when you're, it's not so much, squeezing this, you're just kind of cranking this down, and that's what's making it come out, and then you should just be able to do gentle pressure. This has been on the fridge, so it's a little stiffer than normal, but you should be able to just go around. Can you see me okay? And that's this is mashed potatoes that's in here. Voila! Okay, so actually that guy looks better than this guy. When it's been in the refrigerator, when it's been in the refrigerator, it's going to come out a little darker purple. These I did last night, and this is just mashed potatoes, some butter, and just a little bit of heavy cream. You got to watch it that you don't get them too soupy. You want them to hold the shape on your mashed potatoes. You can do it with white mashed potatoes, any kind of mashed potatoes you want. I like the purple just because it's a pop of color for me. And this guy should...
After you put them together, do you rebake them?
You can. You can either rebake them if you'd like, put a little Parmesan on top and rebake them. You could put it in the microwave and do it that way. Whatever you'd like to do. So, okay, there's my base. And what I'm going to do now is put some shrimps on there. How am I doing on time? Oh, I'm doing great. See, look at those bad boys. Wow. $20 a pound at Costco. These are U10s.
And do you have to clean it yourself?
No, they've already been cleaned. I just peeled part of the shell off and I put them in unbroiled. And what this has is a glaze. This is the teriyaki sauce you get at Costco mixed with wasabi. Who doesn't like wasabi? And then you just do this, just shake it up. So what I'm going to do is these were already baked it's gonna be broiled rather, with the wasabi. Keep an eye on that and see if that starts to turn black. Okay, so I'm gonna put my shrimp down. And the key to, I like the color, the purple with the orange. The key to catering and to make things look professional, you always want to do odd numbers. That's why we have odd numbers of tangerines up here. And I want to do odd numbers of shrimp. Okay, so there's that guy. And we're just down at my son and daughter-in-law's house in Seattle a couple weeks ago, and we were going to take our son out for his birthday, and I said, no, I'll just cook. And he's like, oh. I said, no, fine. So we did this for him. He's like, whoa. My dad would say, this ain't no amateur hour. And there's your Parmesan cookie. So it's really easy to do. This whole thing took me less than 30 minutes. Start to finish on doing the shrimp, the potatoes, the Parmesan cookie. I'm ready to go. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I did find at one point I put the curly onion behind it, and it was just a little too much on the color. And this guy hasn't curled a whole lot, but had that sticking up out of it, and it's just kind of, that's not a good thing. So we let that guy out. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this guy then is my pepper sauce. We doing okay on that one?
It's still there.
Okay. So practice with this. This is why we keep a lot of towels. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. This really isn't for eating. I mean, they can't eat it, but this is more for show. That guy's gonna run a little bit on me, but it doesn't really matter. This way you can dine at home and have a 5-star dining experience.
You have to have a big mouth.
We have a big family.
No, I mean for that size shrimp.
Oh, the shrimp, yeah. So that usually stays put, but today they're gonna run a little bit on me.
So you have different colors.
Any questions? You're gonna have to say, shout out if you got a question.
Did you bake or broil the shrimp?
Broiled. Yeah, I took the shrimp came with the shell on it. I took the shell off up to about this point, and so I could keep the tail on there for looks. And then I just brushed a little wasabi teriyaki sauce on it. Yeah, this is kind of messed up on the back there. I just brushed a little wasabi teriyaki sauce on top of the shrimp, and then broiled it. You know shrimp's done when the color turns pink. Get them out of the oven. If you boil them and they turn pink, get them out. Otherwise, you got rubber. Okay, so you never want to overcook your seafood. Okay. Any questions? You guys are being really quiet.
So is that the one you're going to?
Yeah, we're going to give this one away.
All right, you want to draw for it now?
Sure. No, doesn't do any of that.
It's going to be all your fault. Sharon Richards.
Okay, we're doing okay with this? Okie dokie. What I'm going to show you, Sharon, before you take off with this, plastic is our friend in this business. We use a lot of plastic. So let me show you how we wrap plates. And this is good to know if you got to take something to somebody's house, to a potluck or whatever. Keeps things from moving. We also wrap our dishes. Can you guys see me okay, or
No.
sort of?
But that's okay.
Okay, this one, this is Costco Sam's Club size plastic wrap. Trust me, we blast through this stuff. But you pull your plastic out, bring it down, a little slide thing, and then pull it up a little bit more so your plastic is flat. And then you put your dish on top of the plastic. You don't go over the top first. You do your dish on top. This one's a little unusual because it's a triangle. And come over the top, and fold your sides down. And it depends what you got going on in there if you want to bring it really tight or not. We wrap our dishes in stacks of 10s. That way when we're transporting them, they're not clanking around. They're solid. They're not going to go anywhere. So that guy is ready to go. We'll wrap the pie and the truffles also. We're still waiting for those peppers to come up, but in the meantime, this is something I was going to play with, but I just ran out of time last night on doing this. We got one more shrimp if somebody wants it. This is a work in progress. So I kind of messed up. This should have a purple cabbage in the bottom. And with the purple cabbage, it's a vegetable. Yeah. We'll make do. Maybe. There you go. It's going to be a vegetable bouquet.
So it would be sliced purple cabbage?
You can either slice it or you can cut it to fit inside your vessel. This is the vessel thing. So this guy, got to have him up here. We go through a lot of skewers too. But you want to get the purple cabbage. You can either slice it up like coleslaw type of thing and really pack it in there. So these guys are going to stay put. This guy's going to bounce around a little bit. But what we're going to do with that is, and there's some pepper flowers. You're going to have a little asparagus. There's purple cabbage. This will be standing up taller. But what we also do, let me set this down for a second. Remember something I forgot to show you. We do a lot with tomatoes. And we make tulips out of tomatoes. And that is with a Roma tomato. And the Roma tomatoes are meatier than a normal tomato. They tend to hold up better. We doing okay? And yeah, glasses. Hello. Anyways. Okay, I'm going to leave the stem side down. Okay, because that's the strongest part of your vegetables, that stem side. This part I'm going to cut in a crisscross pattern. So I'm going to come up like this, and I'm just going to keep going around. And you can even it out when you get to the end. So I've got like a star that's cut on it. Okay, so I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to take my knife and go inside very carefully. This first carrot doesn't want to see me today. And I just don't go all the way through. I'm just going through, and I'm trying to cut out the middle of that tomato, the meat of it, and the seeds.
That's labor intensive.
You can do that with a spoon or a knife. Okay, so there's my tulip. What we're going to do with that tulip is, I got a spoon, a little spoon. Normally I do this with a pastry bag, but I forgot to bring my extra pastry bag. So, you're going to fill that full of whipped cream cheese. Cardiologists just love us. There's nothing without butter that we haven't made yet. So this is whipped cream cheese. Okay, it's softer than the bricks. You never like it. And you kind of stuff it in there as much as you can. Okay, and then with a paper towel, I'm going to clean him up a little bit on the sides where he was. Okay. Then, we keep a lot of capers at our house. There you go. So, actually, give me that green spot thing. Yeah. Thanks. Here's your peppers. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay. Is it working? Is the oven working? Okay, so this is going to look like a tulip when I get done with it. So there's my capers. I use this a lot around smoked salmon platters. Okay. guys can't see, let me know. I've got my head down, so if you have a question, shout it out. Okay, then I'm going to take a green onion.
What is going to happen to those bunnies?
Bunnies are going home with me. I have grandkids. They're all coming over tonight.
Is that edible?
The bunnies? No, I don't.
No,
They're metal.
okay.
I wouldn't eat them.
Good. It looks sort of like waffle.
Okay, so I'm going to take a green onion. I'm going to put a skewer through it. Maybe. Okay, this part. I want to come up about an inch. Break the other part off. Stick it right into the stem. You got a tulip. So you can do a whole bunch of those and make a floral bouquet. And then you can also use some of your pepper flowers. So that should have a green onion on it. Thanks.
And then nobody dares to eat it.
They better not. Yeah, so you can, the pepper flowers are great too, that after you get done using them for an ornament, chop them up, put them in soup, whatever, they're still usable. Just give them a good rinse and you should be able to keep using them and stuff. Okay.
So you put a little water in the jar?
You can. One thing I found when I've made these before is I had rosemary. I had all kinds of things shooting out of it. It looked gorgeous. It smelled horrible. I had garlic shooting out, rosemary, and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh my God. But we took a lot of good pictures of it and called it good. So, anyways, so yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of the different. So it's nice when we do a smoked salmon platter like this oval platter. We'll take the smoked salmon. When you have the smoked salmon that you get at Costco, Fred Meyer's, the Copper River smoked salmon, cut the edge off. You're going to be close to your sink. Cut the edge of the foil pack off, and trust me, I've been here before. The salmon's gone right into the sink before going, ah. But you're going to hold it pretty much horizontal, and then have some paper towels down, and just kind of gently lean it, and in that foil pack, it's going to come flying right out. Okay, most of those salmons have the skin on. The skin will come off really easy. Just peel it right back, real easy. And then we usually put it on an oval platter, and we have kale around it. And kale you can get at FSA, also the big bags, but you can start buying it now at Fred Meyer's and Cars, the big leaf kale. Costco is more of the edible kale, it's the small stuff, but we use that usually around for the platters. And we put our salmon on there. And then we take our pastry bag with our cream cheese and we go all the way around and do stars, cream cheese stars all the way around. And then there's a trick to doing this. Then we put a layer of red onions, a little bit in, about an inch in, and then we put the capers between the red onions and the cream cheese. If you don't, the capers are everywhere. Okay, so those red onions hold them there. So I've got a big oval with my salmon and the cream cheese, and then the red onions, and then the capers, and then I put some dill right down the center of it, and then I do the tulips, the tomato tulips around the outer edge. And we get a lot of oohs and ahs over that one. Okay, the leaves on the pie, can you grab the pie for me? Thanks. The leaves on the pie, the pastry leaves, really easy to do. I learned this from Martha Stewart years back. Martha might be crazy, but she does have some good ideas sometimes. So this is an apple blueberry pie that we did this morning. But the leaves are just the pastry crust. And you roll out your pastry crust on a floured surface. The reason you want it floured is the flour keeps the crust from sticking to your surface, and it keeps it also from sticking to your rolling pin. The rolling pin we have is, gosh, I think it weighs about 20 pounds, I think. It's just really heavy. And that's what you want, something heavy that you can get in there and get your crust really thin. And then you just take a regular knife and you cut your leaves out, just the oval thing, and then the back end of the knife you go down and you just score. Can you guys see me? You just score the back of the leaves, and then you just push it where the little things go out, and then you just put it on top. It's really easy. And I will have the pastry recipe and the apple blueberry pie recipe on our website for you guys this weekend. And I'm not really the pie maker in our family. Our ex-wife is, but I'm pretty good at it. But anyway, so you do get the pie. Whoever gets this, you don't get my pie plate though. Thanks, Chris.
I have one, so I don't.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? This is going faster than I thought.
You know what? That oven wasn't open.
It wasn't on?
No, it wasn't. I know it wasn't. Now it is.
Yeah, now it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's because I kept thinking it was always red.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Anyways, what else can I tell you guys?
Are you gonna tell us about the hard-boiled eggs at some point?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. So these eggs are hard-boiled eggs that have been peeled. And before I cut them in half, I soaked them in, I should stand over here. I soaked them in just a container with water and food coloring. Green's pushing it. You don't want to make them blue. Nobody likes blue food. Just a word of advice. So I thought, well, I want to have them match the pepper flowers. So that's why I came up with the orange, red, yellow, and green. And they sat in the water for about 24 hours, pulled them out. And I will warn you, I want to wear gloves because I still have yellow on my fingers from pulling them out. But pulled them out, put them in the yolks into the food processor along with some smoked salmon and some honey mustard. And grind it away. And then put it in a pastry bag and just fill it up. You always want to do your deviled eggs with a pastry bag. There's a reason why. When you do it with a spoon, pretty much you're committed to once you start putting it in. With a pastry bag, you can go around and just give everybody a little squirt, and then you still have extra in your pastry bag, and you can just keep filling up as you go along. Also, with the pastry bag, it covers a world of oops. So when you're pulling these apart and you're getting the yolk out, a lot of times the white will rip on you. The pastry bag with the yolk in it, yolk mixture, you can cover up the rip on the egg. Put a little dill on top, and then we put the peppers. There's 3 peppers on the top that always stand up. These platters, the egg platter, that is from Target, and it's designed that you can put ice underneath it. So if you're going to take these on a potluck or something like that, you definitely want to put ice on it, keep it nice and chilled. And a trick that we do is when we haul these things is we take usually a red Solo cup or whatever kind of plastic cup, and that goes right over the top where the peppers are, and then I put the plastic very loosely on it, and it keeps the plastic from sticking to the eggs. Same thing when we're transporting like the smoked salmon platter I was telling you about. I put a couple of Solo cups on top of that. It gets my plastic up and over and not sitting on top of the cream cheese.
Toothpicks work also.
Well, toothpicks are going to go through your plastic though, so that's why I don't use those. But these guys works great, and it keeps it up high enough. Okay. Any questions on that? Yeah, I'm running out of things to show you. Anyways, then we need to.
I have a question. You were, and this is rolling way back.
No, that's it.
You said you use olive oil. So can you tell me the difference between using olive oil and olive extract? Not olive. What am I thinking? Almond.
Almond extract. Olive oil and almond extract.
No. I misspoke. I don't mean olive. Almond.
Oh, almond oil?
No, yeah, you said you use almond oil.
It's a flavoring. Almond oil is a flavoring like vanilla. And so it's just a different flavor.
So it's like same with oil extract?
Yeah, if it's an extract, you want to go a little lighter. This is this is an extract, so you just about the same as vanilla, maybe a little less because it's pretty strong. One thing you want to do is whenever you do anything with nuts, you want to make sure people really know there's nuts in it. So whenever we do anything like an almond cookie, we put shaved nuts on top of it because there's a lot of nut allergies out there. People are really into the gluten-free thing right now, but that almond flour, it's fun to play with, but if you got a nut allergy, you're pretty much screwed. So you definitely want to get some nuts on top of there so people can see. Trust me, people do not read signs. We put signs on everything, and oh, these are great. Oh, we did telling tales out of school. We did a really nice catering for upscale catering last week out in Campbell Lake, and I did 2 watermelon fruit salads. One of them, we dropped a bottle of Truly Peak vodka in it. I'm the corporate chef for Truly Peak vodka. So we put a whole bottle of vodka in it. We put a brand new bottle right in front of the watermelon, with a sign that said it was full of vodka. The other one was a virgin fruit salad. You know, they looked alike, but the one was definitely had vodka in it. And people are sitting there scooping it up, and they'd hand it to their kids, and you're like, oh. They're gonna sleep good tonight. Did you have a question?
I just a comment. When I've seen your presentations, I've noticed how beautiful the table looks, and I think part of it is the way that you stagger your food, so it presents itself.
We do a lot of vertical. We never quite know what we're walking into. Usually if it's catering, we're going to go out beforehand, and if it's at somebody's house, we know most of the venues in town that you can rent, but if it's at somebody's house, we're going to go out and just see what are we coming into. We show up typically 2 to 3 hours ahead of time. We want everything perfect. We do a lot of vertical like this. We have a stand. Can you pick that up for me? We have a metal stand here that we usually put cookies on. You got to grab it from the bottom, honey. And we individually wrap our cookies, but we have everything goes vertical because we don't always have a whole lot of, I mean, this is wonderful, but this is unusual. We usually don't have this much real estate, so everything's up vertical, people can see it. Cookies, we individually wrap each cookie. We usually do 1/4 pound cookies. They're individually wrapped for a reason. Not only do people not read signs, but we're writing a book, and I think we're about chapter 40 right now. You don't want to be in our book. Tongs are there for a reason. It's not to stick your hand in there. People will go in, and then they'll stick their hand to get a cookie. So that's why we individually wrap cookies for that reason. Also, the end of the evening, they may not always want to do dessert, but they want to take something home, so it's wrapped. They can throw it in their pocket and take it with them. And we label our cookies too, but yeah, we always put them in those tall things and stuff. So it's visual. As my husband would say, I could take a can of Alpo, and by the time I get Alpo dog food, and by the time I get done with it, people would be eating it. God, that's the greatest thing I've ever had. It's amazing.
Because you squirted some of the stuff.
Yes. My husband is a mechanical engineer in town, and it's Chris Linford, but his other name is Manuel Lebeau, because he goes out in a lot of caterings with us, as Deanne knows. We get shorthanded every once in a while. Flu season, people start calling and say, Chris, you got to work. And we had one lady that complained about the old guy that was unloading my car. He's kind of slow. And I said, well, that's Manuel Lebeau. He's fine. So he's got a pretty good sense of humor. Typical engineer, he doesn't talk much, which is good. I talk enough for both of us. Onions. That's what I forgot to talk about was onions. How are we doing on that?
It's black at the top.
It's black? Okay, go ahead and turn the oven off. So onions, you can do your green onions one of two ways. Now let me talk about green onions for a second. Most of your green onions are going to come from Mexico. I'm from San Diego. I grew up in Mexico. Things have gotten better, not by much though. You really want to wash your produce that doesn't come from the U.S. The U.S. has pretty strict guidelines on it. Every other place, what they use for fertilizer, use your imagination. So you really want to wash your produce. Okay, what we can do on this didn't stay in there long enough, is this is a green onion flowerette, and you just take the white end of the onion, cut the long part off, whatever I did with them. Anyways, you cut the spiky part off, and then this, you just slice it down about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, put it in ice water, and it starts to open up like a little flower. And then that goes into our bouquet as well. The green onions themselves, they should start getting curly, and I didn't get to these guys until this morning. But I always put them in a tall glass, ice water, set them down, and there's a real easy way to do this.
So you set them down upside down?
Yeah, you put them in ice water because you want that to get into ice water. So there's a real easy way to do it. So when I was talking before about this end, you cut that off.
The roots.
The root part. And then this back part, now some of this is getting a little ragged, so I usually cut that across. And nobody likes anything straight, so we're going to cut these a little more at an angle. Yeah, there's an oven mitts in one of these drawers. And put it over here. Okay, thanks. So I'm going to cut those off, get them pretty much evened out. And if you ever worry about cutting yourself, this is pretty easy. Sure, I'm not leaning on anything here. And pepper is ready. I'll show you how to do that in just a sec. So I'm going to put my knife down and just pull the onion. way you're really not cutting yourself. It's a good way to teach your kids how to cook too, so they're not cutting themselves. And I want to get as many slices as I can. It's going to curl up a little bit while I'm slicing it.
It's too small.
It's really hard to see what you're doing.
Yeah. No, I
Sorry, guys.
can't. It's too small for me.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so I'm just going to pull the knife, or pull the onion rather. And I'm going to try to get these as thin as I can. And then you put it upside down, usually a bigger container than this, but ice water, you get it in the fridge. And usually about 6 hours is about right. It'll start doing curly cues. If you get any, we call them orphans, any guys that you've accidentally cut off, but they're still curly, you can still use those. Don't toss them out. They still look really good on a plate and stuff. These guys are really fun. You can put that on the top of a mashed potato stack or on top of a baked potato, things like that. But anyway, so that's how you do that. Okay, our peppers are done. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. So if you're doing the white ones or the green tops, so you're doing either one of those. Yeah. You can't do both. Right?
You can do both actually if you want to, but to show it, you're gonna one end or the other.
Okay.
But yeah, you can cut it, and the white top doesn't open quite as much as the green end and stuff. But yeah, the white one, I was just playing around with that this morning, trying to put that into the thing. I just ran out of time this morning to get all the ingredients for that. But use your imagination on that guy. Anybody else? Okay, so what I'm going to do with this guy, I have to fun and games. Oh, this is a vegetable cutter. I forgot to tell you guys about this guy. This is another goodie that you can get in stores. It's got the wavy pattern, very, very sharp, and carrots. You know, anything like that, you can go down and it makes the wave pattern. So you've got a really nice looking, and when you have a carrot, I should have brought one with me. But when you have a carrot, we're going to pretend this is a carrot. You're going to cut it at about a 45-degree angle. You see how that made that little wavy pattern on there? So it looks really good. Carrots, celery, stuff like that. And it's got a good handle. Do not put that in the dishwasher. It will rust up on you. But they're very, very sharp. You can get this at most Fred Meyer's. True Value Hardware over on Joe Lake and Diamond's got some really good kitchen tools in there. Yeah, Ace Hardware used to be by us over on Huffman. It was great. But the people that owned Ace Hardware, they just opened a new store called Zucchini Kitchen things, and it's at it's right in front of Lowe's on South Anchorage on Huffman. It's next to Johnson Tires. So okay, can everybody see this? So I put my pepper in, I put it under the broiler. You got to keep an eye on it. Do not put oil on it. I just want the naked pepper. I want all of the seeds off of it. I got a nice black top, and I'm just going to start peeling it. You can do this with a fork, you can do it with your fingers. It's pretty hot right now, so I'm trying not to do this with my fingers too much. But see that membrane, that's the skin. That's what I want off of there. Because if I have that, it's not going to make a sauce for me. It's going to clog up everything. So that's why we're roasting them. And you can also do this with green peppers too if you want a different color sauce.
Oh, will that even pull the red? Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm just peeling it. It's just like plastic. So you're just going to peel that off all the way. And then, as I said, we got the seeds out. Oh, there's one little guy there. But you go through the whole thing, peel the entire shiny part off. So you're going to have the flat part. Put it in a food processor, it'll puree up. So you're going to come out looking like that. Okay. Put that in your fridge. I put a little piece of plastic, something over the top. You can put plastic, put a piece of plastic over this part, and then screw your lid back on. Keeps the air out, and that should keep for you for about a week or so. Okay. And you can use, you know, play with colors and stuff.
So, could you do the same thing in like over the fire?
Yeah.
Your barbecue?
You can do it over the cooktop too. Yeah, you can do it over the cooktop as well. Yeah, I just like to do it on the broiler because that way it's just contained type of thing versus doing this. I've caught the kitchen on fire once too many times, so they don't let me do that anymore. So, anyway, any other questions? Anybody? Okay. Tammy, you want to draw for the pies?
We can. Oh, this is going to be for the fly, right? The rice.
Right. You can do, yeah. You don't want to put oil in it if you're going to use it as sushi, because if you have sushi rice, I like it because it sticks together, but the more oil you put in it, the more the rice is going to fall apart on you. It's the starch in the rice that holds it together. I just like the sesame oil because it gives it a nice nut flavor. But if you're going to do it as sushi, just do it plain on the package directions. But we found that whenever we do this, we do a lot of at-home dinners. We also do a lot of 9-course wine pairing dinners. So we'll bring those out for that, and we put them, the wine pairing dinners are small bites because they got to get through 9 courses. We'll use the mini muffin pans, and we'll put the rice in that, pack it in that really tight. The key is you got to get it refrigerated. Get a lot of plastic over it, get the air out of it, get in the refrigerator so it hardens. It doesn't harden, but it firms up, I want to say. And then when you get to the place, you have a board out and just flip it over and give it a whack, and it all comes out in perfect little pellets.
And the winner is
This is for the pot.
Sherry.
Wilkin.
Wilkin.
She's been sitting there eyeing it all.
I know. Eyes as you walked in. And you get to keep the plate, not my pie plate, but you get to keep the other plate. Not my pie stand, rather, but you get to keep
I
the
want to
plate.
get a picture of that and Sharon's dish before you take off, so that we can put that on in the newsletter or on the Facebook page.
Okay, guys, I think I'm pretty much talked out. Food safety, very, very important. And do not feel bad about asking at restaurants, have they washed their hands? It's kind of like going to the doctor, and people need to wash their hands. We're bad, we don't wear gloves. And the reason we don't wear gloves is I find people that have gloves on are doing this. It doesn't click into them that they're touching their head, their face, or whatever. The funniest one's wearing gloves when they're out washing the gloves. It's like, So we don't wear gloves for 2 reasons. One is when I touch my face, I know I touched it because I feel it, it clicks into my head. The other reason we don't wear gloves is that when we're cutting things that are hot foods that are a little bit greasy, the knife tends to slip when you have gloves on. So it's a safety thing. So I might take a hit from the Muni, but so be it. At least we've all, I think we all still have our digits. So, yeah, ask your restaurant people, if you have any questions or whatever. Unsolicited, cleanest kitchen in town, Romano's. You can eat off their kitchen floor. That place is so clean. And so it's a very good place. I don't want to get sued, so I won't tell you some of the dirtier ones. Imagination on that. And let's see, what else? Yeah, safety is really important. Wash your produce. You can wash it with soap and water. If you don't know where it came from, wash it with soap and water. Rinse it really, really well. If your produce, more people get sick from green onions from Mexico, melons from Mexico, things like that. You really need to watch what you're doing. If you get something and it just doesn't smell right and look right, throw it out. Trust me, if you've never had food poisoning, you do not want it. It is not fun. So throw it out. Same thing like we were talking about boiling eggs. Any eggs that you put in the cold water immediately come up the top, they're bad. They're full of gas, they're bad. That's why they're rising to the top. Any packaged foods that you buy from the store, like lunch meats, if the plastic on it is swollen, it's bad. Gas makes it bad. It makes the thing swell up. So you want to dump that out. Okay, most stores will give you a refund on it. And most of the stores, like we get it every once in a while from the big guys, and we'll call them up and say, okay, we got an issue with this. You need to go check your packaging. And it gives them a heads up because, especially like Costco and Sam's Club, they have so many things in there. They don't always keep an eye on things. Yeah.
I would like some advice. Sure. I tried to do the spears that you have in the. Oh my gosh, I forgot what they call it.
Onions?
The onions?
No, the green
Asparagus?
Asparagus.
Yeah.
I tried to do the asparagus when you just, like kind of boil it and then so it still stays crunchy.
You want to, I have a tall pan, a pot rather, it's about this tall and it's only about this big around. And it's got a basket in it. And I have about 1 inch of water and sometimes I throw a little oil on top there and a little balsamic vinegar just to get that steam flavor into my asparagus. And then I have my asparagus standing up. I cut off about, it depends what they look like, 1 inch to 2 inches off the bottom. But I cut all my asparagus at the same time, so everything's the same height. Put the tips up, and then I just boil it for about no more than 5 minutes. You just have to look at it. When it's the color of this lady's scarf that she has on, that color of green, you're done. It comes out really bright green. Pull it out and pull the basket out. I usually have like a dinner plate right there. I'll pull the basket out, put it on top of the dinner plate, walk it over to the sink and put running cold water on it, and it stops the cooking process, and it keeps it nice and firm, keeps the nutrients in it too. You don't want to boil in your veggies. That's what mom and grandma used to do. That's not a good thing. That's where all your nutrients are in the veggies and stuff. So you want to keep them as raw as possible.
So there's only water in the bottom?
About an inch of water in the bottom of this pot.
So you want basically more like steam them then?
Yeah, it's a steam method.
Is there a lid on it or no?
Yeah, there is a lid. So it steams it, and it just gets it so that these guys are raw, but the ones that were on the antipasto, those guys were steamed.
How did you marinate them? They were delicious.
Thank you. It's I blanched them, and then I put them in a Ziploc bag with the avocado oil and then the balsamic fig vinegar.
That was it. And also
The mushrooms are the same.
yeah, they were really tasty.
Thank you. Now your asparagus, what you want to find on asparagus is a really tight top.
Yeah.
Okay. I found a lot of times up here, we're in Alaska. You know, you really gotta look at stuff. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. If it looks fuzzy at all, doesn't look too great, toss it. It's bad. Okay, asparagus is gonna go bad on you pretty quickly. Tomatoes usually hang in there. If you get tomatoes that are, if coming from California, I'm used to a really good tomato. And tomato, the difference between wisdom and brains is tomatoes are a fruit. Wisdom is you don't put it in a fruit salad. Somebody tried that one the other day. That was pretty cute.
Oh.
But whenever I buy tomatoes, if they're still really hard, I just leave them in the cardboard packaging. Don't take them out of that plastic. You don't want them in plastic. And I leave them on the kitchen counter. Same thing when you get those big cases of the really nice looking peaches at Costco that are like hard as a rock. Leave them on the kitchen counter for about a week. They'll soften up and they'll be really good and juicy for you. You just kind of give them a little touch. We do a lot of guacamole, as Deanne knows. I'm kind of the guacamole queen. Trick to guacamole, to avocados, is when I make guacamole, lately I've been cheating. We're in Alaska. Sometimes I'll get my avocados. I usually try to get them about 5 days ahead of time. And they're usually rocks up here. And a lot of times, day 5, they're still a rock. They're not coming around. I'll have them in a paper bag, paper bags folded down, trapped in ethylene gas, and that's what ripens your avocados and your bananas and your tomatoes too. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So what I've been doing a lot, and you guys might want to try this, is Costco, Fred Meyer's, all those guys, I call it fake guac, but it's really avocado that's been pureed, and you can buy it in the packages. It's over by the cheese section in Costco. I think there's 3 packs of it. You can freeze it. It's great, so you always have it. But I'll throw that in the bowl. I'll take the regular avocado that's hard as a rock, chop that up as much as I can, throw that in there so I've got some texture to it. I add diced red onions, garlic. We use a lot of garlic at our house. But the trick is the mango peach salsa from Costco. That goes in my guacamole. The acid from the salsa will keep your guacamole green. Okay.
What is it called?
Mango peach salsa. And that acid will keep your avocado green. If you have guacamole, you've chopped up a bunch of avocados, and your avocados are ripe, and it's Wednesday, and your dinner party is not until Saturday. What you can do is take like a Tupperware container or one of these snap lock things, and take your avocado, smash it up as best as you can. You know, got the peel off and the pit out. Put it into one of your airtight containers, and put a layer of clear water on top of it. Put an airtight lid on it, put it in your fridge. It's good for 5 days, and it'll stay green. And then get ready to use it. You just take it to the sink, pour that water off, give it a little mix. Fresh avocado. Guacamole, if you have extra guacamole, we always have extra guacamole. It's really good the next day over scrambled eggs and a tortilla. We reuse a lot of food. Also, a little side note, because of the amount of food product that we use, we don't throw anything away. Like all this stuff today that we're not going to use, it all goes to Anchorage Rescue Mission on Tudor by Lake Otis. Those are the hardcore homeless guys, and they don't get the federal state financing that the other guys do. So those guys are great. They'll come pick everything up. We gave them a whole wedding cake last year. The bride thought she was going to have 200 people. She only had 80. So the homeless guys were eating wedding cake for a week. so yeah, we were very conscientious about that we do help those guys out. Any questions?
Yes.
We usually leave those with whoever wants them. If you guys want them, you're more than welcome to have them. We put water, it's got sublights in the bottom, and usually if it's dark out, it lights it up from the bottom. This works better in the wintertime, but it lights it up from the bottom. And we get those lights over at Michael's. We always laugh at these lemons because sometimes we'll do several of these. One of them will be filled with green limes, and the other one with lemons, and one with tangerines. And we did I don't know if you were with me on that one or not. We did one time, and we filled it up, and we're doing something. We looked over and thought, what happened to the water? And the lemons sucked up all the water. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't.
Is there something about it being in the glass or in the water, or are they that big?
It's a little bit, it's because it's in the water, the glass, yeah.
I think they look kind of lights.
Yeah, we just do it just for a pop of color, and also it gets things up so that if we did this as a normal buffet, we'd have a couple of these up and a couple of them down. On our postcard, one of the pictures that shows some of them up and some of them down.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives us a little bit more real estate.
What kind of lights did you say you had in the bottom?
Beg pardon?
Did you say you had lights in the bottom of that?
Yeah, there's little lights on the very bottom of them that lights it up from the underneath.
It comes that way then.
Well, we put it in there.
Where do you get them?
Yeah, we buy the little lights at Michael's. They're little sub lights or waterproof lights. We just twist them, and it's a little LED light on. So there's 5 or 6 of them in there.
That's not flavored water.
No, it's just clear tap water. Plain old tap water. Yeah, at the end of the evening, we always leave the mandarins out, and then we leave the lemons for the host or hostess. Do whatever they want with them. Or if they don't want them, then we take them to Anchorage Rescue Mission. Any other questions?
Oh, and the egg platter is already been taken, right? The eggs.
The eggs what?
Already been taken.
Oh, no, we're not going to auction those off. You guys can have those. You can eat the eggs, just leave my glass. Okay, the part that he didn't tell you.
Let me get the pictures first, so I can post those.
There is a test. We want to see how much you guys paid attention. Anyways, any questions?
I know that likely none of us are going to put an event together for 500 people, but sometimes even when I have 10 or 12 people over for dinner, it's overwhelming. And if you could talk strategy about
the biggest problem
looking as calm as you can,
sure.
The guests around.
The biggest problem, and there's a reason why we don't do weddings. There's not enough zeros in those dollars to do weddings, so we pretty much stay away from weddings. The biggest problem of having an event in your house is you got to get your house clean.
Right, I know that.
And that's what everybody stresses out about. Yeah. So we always tell people, and if you have out-of-town guests coming, get your house clean a week before they show up. That way you just have to do a little light vacuuming. Hostesses, we always tell them, host and hostess, clean your house the day before so you're not freaking out. Anything that's small, that's of value, like you got, a lot of times you'll see on the sink there'll be a little jar and somebody's wedding rings are in there. It's not the guests you invite, it's the people they bring. Things start walking off. Not always, but you don't want to leave things of value laying out. If it's small, it goes into a pocket, they're out the door. So you want to put things of value away. You also want to put things of value away that are going to break. If you got a lot of people, and especially if there's alcohol involved and they not Grandma Clara's vase over and it's in a million pieces, you want to get that away. Most parties, if you have alcohol, it's going to last 4 hours, start to finish. You want to be ready to go a minimum 30 minutes before the first guest shows up. If you're like me, I'm married to an engineer. He likes to be at places like 30 minutes early. It drives me nuts. The people aren't ready. But you need to be ready. You've got a shower and everything. And the other thing is people understand if you're still cooking. They don't understand if you're still vacuuming your floor when they show up. So, you can still be cooking, but make sure your house is clean. That's the worst of it, is getting that house cleaned up. You need to clean out your refrigerator because you're going to have leftovers, and you need to keep your food refrigerated too that you're going to be using. Do as much as you can ahead of time. Any of the pre-made stuff like these peppers, you can do those a couple days ahead of time so you're ready. Get as much done and just make yourself a list, and I do that a lot. I have it taped to my refrigerator. Here's everything I'm going to do, and I have it in order. And Thursday I'm going to do this, and then Friday I'm going to do this, and Saturday, the day of the party, that morning I'm doing this, this, and this, and this is the tray I'm putting it on. So that way I know that tray has to be clean, polished, and ready to go, and I've got everything laid out, and just kind of do a dry run the night before. The key is, though, in your mind, because I run late, everybody runs late, it's just an hour. You should have everything done. And if you plan on your party starts at 5, if you're ready to go by 4, that gives you an hour that you got to make a run to cars for emergencies or whatever. Without alcohol, your party should last about 2 hours. If you want your party, you want your guests to leave, Make the wine and beer go away. You don't even have to tell them the party's over. Make the wine and beer go away. They just automatically start leaving.
Now, something else, especially here in Anchorage, the way the law is about drunk driving, you gotta be really careful if you're serving alcohol at a party.
You really do.
You're liable. You can be
Yes,
liable.
right.
You are.
So make sure they have a designated driver.
Right, and the only thing coffee does is just makes a wide awake drunk. So you want to have foods, if you're serving alcohol, wines, you get 5 glasses of wine per a 750 milliliter bottle, which is a wine bottle about that size. That will, 5 good sized glasses out of that. You're going to plan on, and this is on our website under liquor, 2 drinks for the first, why am I smelling burning? 2 drinks for the first hour per person. Is that one? Oh, is it off?
Oh, yeah, $4.95 it says.
Yeah, I think we're still on. 2 drinks for the first hour that come in. That can be alcohol, beer, a wine, soft drinks. You want to have a lot of bottled waters and soft drinks. You get away with just plain bottled waters too. Then after that, it's usually 1 drink per hour after that. If you are going to be serving alcohol, you want to have a lot of high carb foods. That helps soak up that alcohol. Yes. Lots of breads, lots of crackers, things like that. Rule of thumb, and also Alaska, people don't seem to understand what RSVP means. I swear, I've been to a party one of these days, and those at RSVP, I'm going to tell them we changed the location. It's over here. And those that don't RSVP are going to show up to an empty house. I keep threatening to do that, so far I haven't, but it drives me nuts. But it's perfectly acceptable if you're having a very nice party. Call people that have an RSVP. I haven't heard from you. Are you coming or not? Yeah, it's perfectly acceptable. But, hang on a second. But you want to, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, the alcohol, the beers, you want to do Alaskan craft beers. The wines, unless you're a real wine connoisseur, we usually recommend 1 type of red, 1 type of white. Give them too many choices, it gets a little confusing. Your whites should be chilled and only have 1 bottle open at a time, because if you got 5 bottles open and they're only drinking 1, the clock's ticking on the other ones. People are gone and stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
About that, not RSVPing, if you put on your invitations, not all the information, like you said.
Right.
People who will RSVP will find out the time.
Exactly.
So like, we're gonna have a party at this date, but don't put the time on intentionally, RSVP, and then they'll call and say, I'm coming, what time do I need to be there?
Right, good point, good point. Also, weddings and stuff, we don't particularly do weddings because I don't do well with brides, but I have a little issue with 20-something-year-olds spending $50,000, and I'm looking at them going, that's a really nice down payment for a condo, and this is a party for one day for your friends. But weddings that we found, they've changed from the old days, and we found that a lot of weddings, if they're going to do a sit-down dinner, when the bride and groom, after the ceremony, they go get their picture taken, and the guests are sitting around, so usually there's wine and beer going on at that time, or hard alcohol. You need to have appetizers. You got to get food in those people. And if it's an outdoor wedding, a lot of times we'll feed them when they show up with appetizers, past appetizers. We have the butlers walk by. We do a lot of, not necessarily weddings, but larger things. We have a magic number. If you have 100 guests, we usually surprise people. We do a 7-foot-tall fruit sculpture out of carved watermelons and pineapples that goes up to the ceiling, and then it's all covered with fruit skewers. They don't know we're going to do it. It's just a surprise for them. I don't know why I keep looking at you. Sorry. But we do that, and we do a lot of cheese. Cheese is good for soaking up the booze and stuff. But you want finger food, but you got to get food in them.
Yes.
Okay. Wedding party, the brides and the grooms in their separate rooms, you need to get food in them too. Chances are bride and grooms do not eat during the day. I've experienced, my brother did this at my sister's wedding. He didn't eat all day, up around the altar, locked his knees, down he went. So that made for a really exciting wedding. But you want to get food into them, and if it's your family or whatever, the bride and groom, always give them one of these tote bags, a plastic bag, and it's got the entire dinner wrapped up in it for them to take to the hotel that night. Most of the time, they always say they're going to eat, they never do. We give them a whole meal to take back to their hotel room to eat, because by the time they get to the hotel, room service is over, they haven't eaten all day, they're exhausted, and because of the adrenaline, they don't eat. So it's always good to give them some extra foods and stuff. Okay, any questions?
Before we have anybody else leave,
We got one more.
people seem to be leaving, I want to make sure that you watch your email And watch the Facebook, because we'll be starting this back up, hopefully. You know, we'll be getting the lineup in August so that we can start it back up in September. So this is our last one.
I think I'm coming back next fall. So. I've got the shrimp guy. Did we auction that off?
We did.
Oh, we did. Oh,
and,
never mind. Oh,
and they're actually getting ready to leave, so
okay.
that's one of the ones I wanted to. I
Yeah,
need to get a picture of it.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, guys. Thank you. Take a card. We got a really great website. Rumor has it I'm going to be doing a weekly TV show.
Yeah, I was going to try to bring that forward. I know, that's the rule.
Where'd you going?
Huh?
You can try one.
I bet.
I like it for 48 hours because it really thins out the flour, but you can get away with I get it at the market. It's right by. There's an Asian market actually. By the library.